Hello everybody, and today I'm going to talk about how this, an ND filter, can make your videos look better. So take a look at this clip I shot without an ND filter. The motion looks choppy, sharp, and jarring, which doesn't look very natural because our eyes don't see movement this way. So compare it to this. With an ND filter, I was able to change my shutter angle to 180 degrees, which represents more accurately what we see with our eyes. Now the magic is in how much motion blur is present. Our human vision is just used to perceiving all moving objects with that particular amount of motion blur. If there's too little or too much of it, it starts to seem unnatural. So when you get down to it, it's really less about the filter itself and what settings you chose to shoot at and how the filter can help you get there. The general rule of thumb is to maintain your shutter angle at 180 degrees, and if you're wondering what shutter angle is, check out my other video dedicated to shutter angles. But to simplify it all the way down, what you basically need to do is take the frame rate you're shooting at, double it, and use that number as your shutter speed. So for example, I'm shooting at 24 frames per second, double that I get 48, so I'll use 1/48 of a second as my shutter speed, and because most cameras don't give you 1/48 of a second as an option, we'll round it up to 1/50th of a second, which is close enough. But you get the idea. If you're shooting at 30 frames per second, then use 1/60th of a second as your shutter speed, and if you're shooting at 60 frames per second, then use 120th of a second, and so on. So you don't actually always need an ND filter to achieve this. So when does it come in? The ND filter's purpose is to cut light, so it comes in when there's too much light. Now, as ironic as it seems, there is such a thing as too much light. So for example, I'm filming in midday sun. I want to maintain my shutter speed at 1/50th of a second, and I also want to keep my aperture at f2.8 because I want my depth of field to stay that way. Unfortunately, I've hit a rock bottom ISO of 100 on my camera, and it's still completely overexposed. And that's when I will need to bring in my ND filter. So this one I'm using here is a variable ND filter, which means I can turn a ring on the filter and it changes how much light is being cut. It actually looks quite magical. So using the variable ND, I can set it to cut just enough light so I get perfect exposure. The variable ND I was using was made by Tyfoto. I've talked about them before. Their filters all come with lifetime warranty, including accidental damage. I'll leave a link below for those of you who are interested. But the reason we use variable NDs for video especially all comes down to convenience and speed. It makes the process of finding exposure faster, and you simply have to twist the ring to change how much light gets let in. Definitely faster than switching out a bunch of different density NDs, and plus you can just buy one variable ND instead of buying a bunch of individual NDs. But of course you can still use variable NDs for stills, no problem at all, and you can also definitely use fixed NDs to get your exposure right for video as well. In fact, my C100 Mark II has 3 built-in fixed NDs, each of a different density for this purpose itself. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today, and if you are getting one of these Tyfoto filters, you can use my coupon code ZProductions at checkout to get 15% off. So hit me if you have any questions or comments in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.